what's happening? My name is Daniel and welcome to The Message Today, episode 10. Today we are looking at the topic of choices and consequences. This week we have special guests OTC, music from the hip-hop collective Vital Signs, and Nick Shalavi will be sharing his story.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and as usual, if you have any questions from this session, why not write them down and talk in your group with your teachers afterwards. If you're personally struggling with anything we talk about, please do think of an adult that you can trust, that you can talk to ASAP. This might be a parent or guardian, a youth leader, or a member of staff at your school.
Did you know there's estimated that an average adult makes about 35,000 remotely conscious decisions each day? Each decision, of course, carries certain consequences with it that are both good and bad. Most decisions, such as what we'll eat for lunch today, are small and only slightly impactful, but it's the big decisions, the ones that can change your life forever, that are tough to make.
Our future is determined by the choices we make, don't make, or leave for others to make for us. Future success or failure is not the result of just one monumental decision. It's the result of a continuous series of choices every day. Each person has different ideas about what is important and what makes them feel best. Making your own choices about the things you do is very important because it can give your life meaning.
So let's start today with the spoken word from Ben from Soulbox.
Let's talk about confidence. Back then I didn't have a lot of it. I remember being on the fence, not knowing who I was or what made sense. All the voices in my head, they would not relent. Just a boy then, amongst lots of men. Fill the void again with lots of mess. But every choice has a consequence. Just a scruffy boy with some torn laces. In the hallways, they would call names. I would always walk away, they would pull faces. It started getting to me deep, I thought I can't take this. Lost half my body weight, these were the 4 phases. Parents saw the changes with distraught faces. Made it through the court cases, all to say this. I gotta be myself, cause everyone is all taken. Look, I always learn the hard way. Why is that, man? I don't know, I can't say. Still, I made it through those harsh days. Every choice plays a part in my pathway. Yeah. Hard way. Hard way. Always learn the hard way. Yeah. All these choices have consequences. My ADHD means I pay no attention. End up in detention and mess around in lessons. Demons speaking loud up in my head and I get no repression. This pain is unrelenting, often it's so unexpected. Drown myself in the sorrow or just to dull my senses. Depression pushed away my friends and that was not intended. Yeah, but all choices have consequences. I think I've been seeing the world through a broken lens. Maybe I've been on the fence lately, had no common sense. Maybe we could start again and you could show me love again. Cause I've forgotten what it's like to be and so I just pretend. But would you come amend all these broken bones? Drinking in an overload, thinking I had no control. Distant and I'm so alone, overdose, no one knows. Show a pose, pick a pose, it's time to learn a different road. All these chapters in my life left in aftermath. And when pain comes, I adapt to that. But there is hope beyond these paragraphs, where trauma meets love like an avalanche. While my circumstances meet a master plan, I start to understand you with me on this fractured path. Every pattern of despair, you dismantle that. And that is that.
So, what is your understanding to what choices and consequences are all about? Let's see what our students around the UK had to say.
Almost like when you have different options between different things to do, different ways you can live your life, and then choose one. And then sometimes, obviously, there are like repercussions that come from that because of the decision that you've made.
When you decide to do something, the consequence isn't always negative, it's just the outcome of what you decide to do.
A decision of, I don't know, just just making a decision, and consequence is the result of that. Could be good, could be bad.
Your choices have consequences. Every choice has a consequence, whether it's good or bad. You have to think about which consequence will be worse, and that will help you decide your choice. Drop the mic.
Thanks, guys. Up next from the Message Trust, here's James, Gina and Aidan from OTC Band.
Hey guys, we are OTC. I'm James.
I'm Aidan.
My name is Gina.
Yes, we are a three-piece band based here in Manchester. Usually we're on tour doing shows and also in schools doing school lessons. So today we're here taking over your lessons.
Yeah, so like James said, we are going to be taking over your lesson today, and we're going to be chatting about choices and consequences. And an example of a definition of a word choice might be this. So a choice is something that implies the freedom to choose from a set of persons or things. It's an option, right? The power, the right, or the liberty of choosing. Whereas a consequence is that which logically or naturally follows from an action or a condition. It's basically an effect or a result.
I'm sure a lot of you have taken chemistry, so you know that when you mix two products, there's usually a byproduct, right? But sometimes this byproduct can be chaotic. For example, if you put a spark near a gas, it's going to cause an explosion, it's going to cause flames. And a lot of the times, the decisions that we choose to make can look a lot like that. For example, when I was growing up, my parents didn't treat me in an amazing way, so I tried to find love in another family, and I created that family in a friendship. Unfortunately, a lot like myself, this group of friends were very angry, and we had a negative impact on each other's lives. So we ended up getting quite involved in things that, well, caused a lot of issues in my head. I think we got involved in things like drugs and in things that involve money as well. Unfortunately, that caused friction between us, and it caused issues in my mentality. So I had anxiety and depression, trouble sleeping, trouble eating without these substances, without these drugs. Fortunately, I made a decision in my life to choose a different path. Now, in the Bible, there was a book called Proverbs, and in chapter 12, verses 26 to 28, it says, "The righteous choose their friends carefully, but the way of the wicked lead them astray. In the way of righteousness there is life. Along that path is immortality." See, all of us have a decision to make. We all have decisions in life. We come across paths and we can choose one that might lead to destruction. However, we can also choose one that would lead to life. You may have made some choices in the past that you might regret, but I want to challenge you guys. What decisions are you going to make every day that are going to benefit you in your future?
Yo, thanks a lot, Aidan. That was amazing. If you want to hear more about us, we currently have a single out called I Win. You can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. So thank you. Thanks for having us today.
Everyone, including celebrities, make bad choices and pay the price. Chris Brown was dating Rihanna when things went south in an ugly way. In February 2009, after an incident that left Rihanna bruised and battered on the side of the road, Chris Brown was charged with felony assault and uttering threats, to which he eventually pleaded guilty. His punishment was community labor, 5 years of formal probation, and domestic violence counseling. As a result, his music was pulled from all radio stations, and he withdrew his appearances in the 2009 Grammys. Even though he appears successful today as a pop star, as an actor, photos still remind us of what he did.
Now, we all know and love Ant and Dec, but did you know that in 2015, Ant was prescribed strong painkillers following a knee surgery? He then quickly spiralled into a drug addiction, and it wasn't until 2 years later that he made a good choice to check himself into rehab, as he desperately sought out help to ease himself off alcohol and painkillers. Although he left rehab 2 months later, Ant was still battling with the demons, and his marriage began to take a serious toll. Sadly, in 2018, after a horrific drink-driving accident, Ant announced that he was splitting up from his wife, Lisa, and the consequence of that was that his marriage ended after 11 years. You may also remember him having to pull out of Saturday Night Takeaway and I'm a Celebrity to recover from this.
We asked our students if they had ever made a bad choice and paid the price for it. This was their response.
Yeah, so many times. That's part of being a teenager, isn't it? I'm not going to tell you what I did.
When I was a lot younger, I definitely didn't like my sister, like at all. So I ended up throwing a lot of rocks at her. And unfortunately, one day I got caught throwing some rocks at her head. So yeah, I got signed the naughty step for a long, long time after that.
I make good choices. I don't make bad choices. Period. I ate my brother's food out of the fridge one time and he made me give him money for it.
Yeah, many times. Probably especially like as a kid, you know, think you can like get away with, you know, sneaking in that extra chocolate biscuit that you don't think your mum will realise you've had before dinner, but it's all around your mouth. And yes, there are definitely consequences, you know, the naughty step, things like that. Obviously there are bigger things in life, but yeah, that first comes to mind.
When I swore when I was a kid, my mum put fairy liquid in my mouth.
Habits for well-being tell us that it's important to know that there is a difference between a mistake and a choice. Before you start criticising yourself, remember that we've all made bad choices in our life. So Daniel, how do you know the difference between a bad choice and a mistake?
The minimalists online describe it like this: selecting the wrong answer on a test is a mistake. Not studying for that test is a bad decision. The mistake was something you did without intention. The bad decision was made intentionally, often without regard for the consequence. It would be easy to dismiss your bad decision by reclassifying them as mistakes. The good news is, in the words of Bruce Lee, mistakes are always forgivable if one has the courage to admit them.
We all make bad choices and we all make mistakes. The important thing is that you're willing to learn from them, take ownership for them, and make better choices moving forward.
Did you know that 24% of adults in England and Scotland regularly drink over the recommended limit? And 27% of drinkers in Great Britain binge drink on their heaviest drinking days. Alcohol misuse is the biggest risk factor for death, ill health and disability among 15 to 49-year-olds in the UK, as well as being a causal factor in more than 60 medical conditions, including cancers, high blood pressure, cirrhosis of the liver and depression. Are you making good choices about what you're putting into your body?
Ofcom found that 57% of 12 to 15-year-olds are interested in news. Where are you choosing to get your information from though? Because 6 of the top 10 most used news sources around 12 to 15s are social media sites, despite the fact that social media and friends are considered the least truthful sources. Hashtag fake news.
Did you know that sleep deprivation can also have huge consequences on your physical health? 1 in 3 of us suffers from poor sleep, and regular poor sleep can put you at risk of serious medical conditions including obesity, heart disease and diabetes, and it shortens your life expectancy. Sometimes it's due to medical conditions like sleep apnea, but quite often it's caused by our choices like consuming alcohol, caffeine, nicotine and other drugs. Unfortunately, regular poor sleep also increases your risk of injury and accidents. Are there choices you're making about your sleep pattern that you need to change?
So over the past 3 years, 1 in 5 victims of knife-related crime have been aged 17 or under. Knife Free say that while some young people might choose to pick up a knife to feel safer, they don't realise that carrying them makes them more likely to get in some serious danger. Maybe they don't realise that actually 35% of people who use a knife as a weapon end up getting hurt by their very own knife.
NASA claims that increased heat, drought and insect outbreaks are all linked to climate change and have increased wildfires. Declining water supplies, reduced agricultural yields, health impacts in cities due to heat, and flooding and erosion in coastal areas are additional concerns as well. These are just some of the consequences of humans choosing things like burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and dumping waste into landfills. Have you ever thought about how you can play your part in looking after our planet?
Thanks, Adam and Destiny. Let's find out from Lauren what the quote of the day is.
Ezra Taft Benson was an American farmer, church leader and government official. He served in the White House and he said this: You are free to choose, but you are not free to alter the consequences of your decisions. Pretty challenging, I would say. I've made some bad choices in my life and I've paid the price. But maybe we don't have to learn the hard way. If we learn to make good choices, we won't have to pay the high price.
Thanks, Lauren. So Daniel, we know we can all make bad choices, but how can we recover from making a bad decision?
Well, I reckon first you take full responsibility. Then try and understand the choice you made. This is not a time to think of excuses, but one of understanding to prevent making the same mistake again. Then if your decision hurt someone, you need to apologize and explain why you did it. Finally, you need to put it behind you and focus on the present. Dwelling on it won't do any favors. Think about what you can do in the future to make sure you don't find yourself making similar decisions.
Up next is My Story, the part in the programme where we hear someone's personal experience. And today we have Nick Shalavi from Vital Signs.
Ready? What if my dad never left my mother? Would have been the kid more disciplined, growing different with sisters and bigger brothers? What if I turned down my first chance to get high, used drugs for my excuse for me to get by? What if I never got expelled from my first school and smoked weed through my exams and kept my curfew? What if I listened in class or admitted that I didn't understand, swallowed my pride and raised my hand? What if I never moved down south, ignoring every bit of guidance until the message drowned out? What if I never went to church? On that day I got saved and reversed and went straight back to old ways? What if I never aborted my first child and married my ex instead of the wife I have now? I wouldn't have my 2 children with my current wife. I'd be with her and a 15-year-old in some other life. Cultivated by the enemy you've got, let me take you on a journey through the woods to a cabin where my memories are logged. There was a time when my mind became accustomed to the pain, thinking suffering was normal and love was just a game. Love was just a name that was thrown around in letters, and my body needed healing like the cleansing of the lepers. No more editing my past. I remember setting dates for my death inside my head to face the penalty and laugh. There's no laughing when you see the other side, and it's black and it's dark and can't see your mother's eyes. Praise God for my mother. She was always interceding. Maybe if she didn't, I wouldn't even be breathing. Bullets in the fame. Don't be tricked by the glamour. Some get split by the hammer while they're struggling to change. I praise Christ for his gift of salvation. His words I believe. I ain't taking man's statement. My heart was full of hate. I'm marked full of pain, dying slow, trying to break free from the chains of this iron hold. See, I was low, burying my face in a pile of snow, washing up the flake, getting paid by a dying soul. Promised I would change, but the chronic have me caged. Confessions from a blade as the conifers ablaze. I was magicked out my face, always looking for the higher buzz. Rolling into brass gas with abs where I'm buying love. Oops, I mean buying lust. Basically buying flesh. Snatch a dying breath from a soul just so I could bust. No chance. I will not do no dance with the promises of fake romance. And I won't hold hands with the devil in his camp. I change programs till I'm settled in my stance, till I stand like a pillar in the middle of the fire, till it's all praise Jesus, the King and the Messiah. My name's New Breed from Vital Signs. This is my story.
You are always just one decision away from a totally different life. Every decision counts. Make your decisions count.
Every decision, every action, every choice counts. Every choice that is made in your present moment has an impact on your future. Don't ever forget this, because it's one of the most powerful principles you can live by. Every time you decide to work on yourself instead of taking the easy road, that is a stronger you in the future. When you decide to develop your mind by learning something new rather than watching the news, that is a stronger, better you in the future. When you decide to eat healthy rather than give in to temptation or feed your body with foods that only do harm, stronger you in the future. When you decide to be kind rather than fight a useless battle to defend your position, stronger, better you in the future. When you decide to rise early and meditate, there is a stronger you, a better you, ready for the future. When you decide to keep going, despite setbacks, stronger, better you in the future. When you decide to write down every day what you are grateful for, rather than complain about what is not there, a stronger, better you in the future. Every decision and every action matters. Every action has a consequence in the future, both ways, good and bad. So yes, this one time does matter. Yes, that one sleep in does matter. Habits matter. You matter. From now on, decide to make conscious decisions, powerful decisions every day. Set the standard and continue to raise the bar in your life. Your positive actions will compound on themselves, and soon you won't recognize the person you see in the mirror. The changes can be that great. You can be that great.
Fearless Motivation! Download or stream to any device worldwide. FearlessMotivation.com.
As we said in the beginning, if you have any questions from the session, why not talk about it in your groups afterwards? Also, if your teacher or leader would like to extend the session, you can now access questions that accompany this episode by following the link in the description on YouTube.
If you are personally struggling with any of the content, please do think of an adult you can trust and talk to them ASAP. Don't wait. There are many great websites and charities that we can signpost you to that can inform and support you moving forward. So why don't you check out some of these and start off with COOF, Young Minds, Childline, the Lily Joe Project, and The Mix.
Don't forget to check out the Message Band socials as they go live every Friday night.
Sadly, it's the end of today's episode, but since we had Nick on this episode today, we're going to leave you with his latest Vital Signs track, Higher Learning. See you next week.
Yo, he said he likes what he sees. Man, I claim in the world kinda mad cause the cycle repeats. Way back I would size up the scene. Wasn't really my but that slide in the sheets. Before she was straight, told me at home that she smokes too. Now I got a night with a fiend. Life in the streets, man, I coming like Kyle Reese. How we have to fight with machines. Fed lies on my own, and the streets don't love you. You know I'm but a number, nothing but a robot. See how many man are standing about each side if it goes off. Feel big cause you're stepping on a couple legs. Feel safe cause you're messing with a couple lads. You can't save you, a man can't either. And that's the main reason to preach my Jesus. Man was hitting pipes for a joke. Swerve anyone for a night with a smoke. Out with the oldest, night on the roads. But I'd really prefer getting high on my own. It's when you know that you're full blown. Everything cold when you come home. Addiction's a monster you feed that comes back to eat you alive when it's full grown. Try clean, no debts or a higher purchase. Widescreen on the desk, get the style perfect. Prayer is the only way forward, the only real way I could ever keep fire burn. Higher learn, upgrade, higher version. Man white, I'm my dad Persian. tested. I lacked wisdom. The fear of God makes a man smart. None gon' be laughing when the wrath hits. Every chip's on the table with me, mate. Shelling down hard like the soldiers at D-Day. All robbing, but you're not Gotham. No dark night, only some clock hitting a rock bottom. I was more Bonnie than a dot rotten. Now the foundation's on God and that's rock solid. Hold tight, it's a nosedive. I keep my 16 safe, still busting off my old vibe. So nice, keep the zone right, man. It's kinda mad these days, so I'm begging for that road life. Boss mode, straight to the drop zone. I went a full bob, now I got the lock codes. Tight verses, trust me, it's curtains. Pushed up a level, keep putting all the work in. Reborn, but the flesh part ain't. Respawn once I stepped in his raining. Yes, I did it all for the check, but he saved me from death when he paid for my failing. Okay, converted, something like a report. Trying to keep it stable, but watch for the recoil. Trio with the quads, parachuting for the recon. Watch for the buzzing of the box. Double XP, Joker on my back. Clock a couple bounties floating on a map. Gas closing, heading through the gas hurdles. Mass broken, ready in the last circle. Never met a man like Dave in my life. How he trained me for war, how he trained me to fight. Knew about Dave, then you knew about legends. Dave Clark, that's the way to make generals. He died so fast, what a brother and a king. Can't believe that he's gone, it just doesn't sink in. Faced with a loss, but he made it to God. And I know he's living on through his faith in the cross.
The other day I thought I seen his face in the crowd. I snapped out of it, stopped chasing him down.